So we're going to go old school with in-person and audio. So if I could ask first for the deputy mayor to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge that Wolfville is situated in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. And as such, we asked that we conduct our business with the 7 sacred teachings in mind: truth, honesty, love, courage, respect, wisdom, and humility.
Thank you. And the first motion is approval of the agenda. I'm just going to add a few things to our in-camera. We will have an in-camera council. There are 3 items on in-camera. Actually, I think there will be 4. 1 dealing with land, 1 dealing with contractual, and 2 dealing with personnel. So you can just deal with that when we get there, but I wasn't sure initially if the in-camera note was just a placeholder, but we actually do have a number of items. And I think that we have received, and I believe they're on the public agenda. There are 2 items of new business to add to our agenda that will come after the motion number 6, motions recommendations from Special Budget Committee of the Whole. The items of new business are of I'm calling it compost management and the Welcome Center. And after which we will adjourn to in-camera. So with those changes, if you could have a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I would like to move that we approve the agenda for this council meeting on February 27th, 2024.
Thank you. A seconder, please. Councillor Palmer. Thank you. All those in favor?
Can I have a question?
Oh, yes.
G under number 5. That was the one that there says there's a motion coming from committee of the whole, but there was no motion of committee of the whole. So should that go under new business or will it stay there?
I'll look to the CAO. As that report was at committee of the whole, but you're right, we did not have a motion.
That's correct. We could put under new business, recognizing that there'll be a motion forthcoming to give staff new direction. So that would be fine. Thank you for picking that up.
We will move G down to after the, we'll say before the Welcome Center, or before the 2 new ones. Are there any other questions or comments about the agenda? And we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor of the agenda as revised, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's passed. And we have a whole lot of minutes. Motion for approval for special town council meeting of January 15th, 2024.
I would like to move the approval of the minutes of the special town council meeting, January 15, 2024.
Seconder, please. Councillor Butler, are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's passed. Town council meeting of January 23rd, 2024.
I would like to move that the minutes of the town council meeting of January 23rd, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
Seconder, please.
Second that motion.
Councillor McKay, any errors or omissions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed. Minutes of January 30th, 2024.
I would like to move that the minutes of the public hearing of January 30, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Ingham. Did anyone notice any omissions from those minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Those are passed. If I may, and this is just a typo, and I was looking for the item that I had. So I'm going back to the minutes of January 23. There's just a typo in approval of the agenda. It says approved as carried. They all say approved as circulated. So that's just a very minor typo. And I wasn't sure which one I noted that in. So we are now on the in-camera. Is that the next one?
Special town council.
Special Town Council. All right, motion for the approval of the minutes of Special Town Council meeting January 30th.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the special town council meeting of January 30th, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
Seconder, please. Counselor Palmer. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, that's passed. Special Town Council in-camera meeting, January 30th, 2024.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the special town council meeting of January 30, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
I'll second that.
Counselor Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed. Special Town Council in-camera meeting of February 1st.
May I move that the minutes of the special town council meeting in camera on February 1st, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconder, please.
I'll second that motion.
Counselor McKay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Those are passed. Getting there. Special Town Council meeting of February 8th, 2024.
May I move that the minutes of the special town council meeting of February 8, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Counselor Ingham. All those in, any errors or omissions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Those are passed, and thank you, counselors, at least the ones I saw to my left, for turning your lights on, because people cannot hear us. I've forgotten about that, and they can't see us. It's a game show. You win. All right, and we're on the last one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I got myself mixed up. And Special Town Council in-camera meeting minutes of February 8th, 2024.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the special town council in camera meeting of February 8, 2024 be approved as circulated and or amended.
Thank you. And the seconder, please.
I'll
Counselor
second
Butler.
that.
Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye and say aye and put your light on.
Aye.
Aye.
Please, you.
That is passed. Thank you. Wow, that was a lot. Okay. I have a number of comments. This has been a really, really busy month, and I will give members of council an opportunity if they want to add some things afterwards. The deputy mayor may want to talk about the coldest night walk or someone else, but a number of us participated in that. The deputy mayor and I attended at least part of a very interesting event put on by the Acadia Islamic Students Association. We were there for the part with a presentation by two of Acadia's professors. I, for one, found it very informative. Of course, very exciting last week for us to get the announcement on the Housing Accelerator Fund. Really looking forward to the future of that. I will be attending, as may some others on council, the Black Student Excellence Gala on Thursday of this week. And I would also like to note that Acadia is hosting the Nova Scotia Women's Collegiate Hockey Championships from March 1st to 3rd. Their final game begins at 12:45 on the 3rd at the Acadia Complex. I will be at that, and I guess I get to give the trophy, so that's exciting for the Acadia Women's Hockey, and I'm sure they would love to see everyone there. Just before I pass it to council, we do have a proclamation this month. This is a proclamation for Amyloidosis Awareness Month, and I understand that will be on the town's website, and I think we usually post it in the front hall of Town Hall. Amyloidosis is a problem of a buildup of proteins in organs and can cause organ failure. So we have proclaimed that month for a number of years. And so that is this month's proclamation. And I open to anyone from council who would like to share events you have been at or will be at before the next council meeting. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mayor Donovan. This Thursday, the town of Kentville is putting on a positive politics and pizza night. at the I've been practicing at the Kentville Fire Hall from 6 until I guess when we're done talking. It's just a chance. There are Pam Mood, the mayor of Yarmouth, and Emily Lutz, the deputy mayor of the municipality of Kennedy Kings, and myself were asked to come in, and they're hoping for a bit of a younger crowd to ask us some questions about what we enjoy about our roles in municipal government, and they're applying us with pizza. So that is
Alliteration there.
yeah, that is open to everyone. They recommend you go on and register just so they know how much pizza to order. But I'm both nervous and excited, so I just wanted to put that in there.
Is this particularly focused on people who might be interested in running in the next election or just?
Yes, well, they sort of put it out there. They're, our names were presented to them as folks that are somewhat positive folks in the community. I don't know where they got that. So yeah, I know I did the math so good. And yes, with elections coming up, just what we enjoy and the changes we've seen in our varied communities over the last couple of years, and like it's going to be a really fun night. They sent some prep questions, but they're not necessarily thinking that those are going to be the actual questions. So it's just kind of a know what you're getting into type thing. So I'm excited for it.
Good. Anybody
Well, I
else?
can report on
Deputy Mayor.
the Fullest Night Walk. We had a strong team from Wolfville. And we did not march outside. We walked around the public walking track at the arena. And also some members of the CFUW ladies did as well. And the entire project was to raise $75,000. And this year, given the situation in our various communities, the local total was $84,800. So really positive.
Nice. Good. All right, thank you. Anybody, and Councillor McKay?
Thank you. On March the 1st coming up, you'll see a further announcement on Nova Scotia Music Week, which is coming up. So stay tuned for that. And also this Thursday, my favorite day of the year, Landmark East Science Fair. I get to go and judge it again this year. So that's this Thursday. They're always enthusiastic students with some pretty amazing science experiments. So that'll be this Thursday. So we're looking
Super.
forward to that.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing lasagna dinner as a fundraiser Friday night. So it's going to be busy there.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other lights, so those are our comments, and it's opportunity for public input. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to come up for public input? You know the drill. If you would give your name and your address, and you have 4 minutes.
George for the business.
I know.
I think, well, George might be there, but he can't get in. Oh,
George Lonas.
George Lonas. Usually we hear from George.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can, thank you.
There are actually a number of things on the agenda that I had hoped that maybe I could comment on, but I haven't really had a chance to go through everything. As always, you're doing so much stuff, so it's hard to keep up with. But I did just want to, because I think you're voting on it tonight, and maybe this is too late, and I have read it quickly, but the virtual meeting policy amendments, one of the things I struggle with, I think you're doing a great job of the town council and committee of the whole, but some of the other committees, as I read this policy, like all committees, PAC, public accessibility advisory committee, all those other committees, like I don't see those recordings. I'm not sure, well, I can't find them. So if they're there, they need to be, I'm going to say, more accessible. So I just wanted to draw attention to that, because I think that's really important, because often we don't see the minutes of those meetings until the next meeting. as I understand it, it's all going to go to computer. And I want to make sure that, I mean, there'll be in person and computer, but it means you have to be at a computer. And sometimes I'm on the road, and the old-fashioned phone is a much easier way to access things. Now, again, maybe the system you're using would be, there is a way to phone into that. I'm not sure. Again, it's just something that I wanted to raise, and obviously tonight it's audio. So maybe you can just make audio recordings available. And I understand there's value in seeing people, but sometimes maybe we're moving forward with technology, and some of the older technology may be still helpful or more helpful to other people. Question. Need my notes. Oh, and I note it says that, well, if you're doing it virtually, you have to give 24 hours notice for a question if you're online. So if I was online, like, if I understand correctly, that if I was going to ask a question, maybe that's now, or what, maybe that's council members, maybe I'm misunderstanding. So they're just some clarification things there. And the only other thing that I had a chance to look very quickly at were the pieces that I believe Alex brought forward around the wellness center and the compost site. And if I understand correctly, although I'm an avid gardener and I have loved the compost site, I think the recommendation is that we go with the service that we're all entitled to right now, which is through Valley Waste Management. And I believe that's very much the right approach. I would definitely support just going to using Valley Waste Management as a community. It takes a little more thinking about and being a bit more organized, but I think the extra cost in this time would be that, and with budgets and those types of things, I think the money would be spent better elsewhere, although I have very much liked the service we had in the past. And then I see there's something about some changes to the wellness center, and I think those would be great additions and changes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. All right, I don't see anyone else for public input, so that moves us into motions from Committee of the Whole. We'll put the motion on the floor and I will again ask for any questions. We did have fair discussion for all of these earlier, but we can certainly have more discussion. So I guess I'm looking to somebody on the policy committee, maybe to put the first one, Committees of Council Policy Amendment. And this is the one that
I
has,
don't mind doing that.
this one that has 3.
Yep.
Right, go ahead.
You
Councillor
like them
Butler.
read as 3 separate?
Yep.
Certainly.
Yes.
I would move that council approve amendments as per the attached Committees of Council Policy 110-001 with wording amendment as discussed.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Ingham, is there any comment or discussion on that one? All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's passed. Reminder for the lights on when you say aye or nay. Second one.
I can,
You want to do all 3?
Unless
Councillor
anyone
Butler?
wants to jump in.
Yeah, there's lots tonight.
I move that council approves the repeal of attendance and participation policy for council, policy 110-012.
Seconder, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any comments? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's passed.
Okay, maybe you could say anonymously.
It's passed.
You, sorry. Yes.
No one was here.
Some of you, if you did not have your mics on, maybe it'll sound anonymously, but those were passed unanimously. No problem. Levity.
Just be clear, clear.
That's great. Thank you. Councillor Butler.
I would move that council approve the introduction of a code of conduct for citizen committee members as attached to RFD 007-2024.
Seconder, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you,
motion.
Councillor McKay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Also passed unanimously. That moves us down to the virtual meeting policy amendments. Who would like to do that? Councillor Ingham.
I would move that council approve amendments as per the attached virtual meeting policy number 110-014.
Thank you. A seconder, please.
I will second that.
Councillor Butler. Are there any comments?
Maybe we could address Caroline's question that she asked, because she had talked about the virtual side of that. And
We don't, this is not a question and answer. If you want to, if you would like to comment on
Sure,
it, you go
like,
right
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that. Like the phone side, the phone line, is that even something we could possibly do, David?
Depends on where we're gonna set it up. Depends on where the meetings.
But I think that's not a bad idea, really. I mean, because I can relate to driving down the road and listen to the radio listen on the phone as opposed to sitting in front of a computer. And I think that's a fair point.
The virtual though is for council.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
our meeting policy,
ours.
not
Yes, it
anybody
Deals
else.
with,
Us being at a
Yeah.
meeting. So our meeting is we are either here or we're on that screen and we have a camera with the technology we've been given and our camera stays
Yeah.
on so that we know we're
thank
not
you.
roaming around the house or
Yes.
or whatever else we might be doing.
So it does not have to do with the Zoom that we don't have tonight. And some of normally we would be on Zoom and you could watch it now or later. Not all meetings have access or are done on YouTube, virtual. But this policy deals with members of council and I guess members of committees too. Must have either be here in person or have access to a computer, a private space. Okay. Councillor Ingham, do you have a comment?
No,
No.
I was just.
All right. I do, and I will pass this again over to the deputy mayor to take us after I comment. And if there are any others to take us to the vote on that. I still don't like this policy. I absolutely support anything we can do if people need an accommodation, but I think that this is far too broad. I think it opens perhaps not this council, but future members of council to abuse, to being continually not together with their colleagues. And for that reason, should that happen, this council would have, or the next council will have no recourse. You will not be able to say, you can't be a member of council anymore because you are never here in town. We can say we will leave it to the electorate, but that could be 4 years away. So I will not be supporting this for that reason. Although I do support some of the sentiments, I think it doesn't put enough brakes on potential abuse. Do you have a question? We've got a
I have a question.
Comment?
Comment. As long as she doesn't beat me with that. She's got that gavel going.
ready. I'm ready.
I'm scared.
Make sure you put your microphone on, Deputy Mayor.
Counselor McKay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I hear what you're saying, and what I thought of afterwards was, although I do agree with this policy, I think our code of conduct needs to be revisited again. I mean, it was the first one we did, but I think we can go back and strengthen that even further. So, I mean, I'm a member of this committee, so if the committee would be, and I look to our wonderful staff member over there, Laura, if we could add that to the agenda for the next one to perhaps strengthen the wording on that to tighten it up a little bit more.
That would be great. I still, until that happens, I still can't support this.
Yes, question? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You have to ask. No opposed.
Okay, all those opposed?
Nay.
Nay, I think I think I voted against before too.
Yes, you did.
I talked about that.
Okay,
It still passes.
it still passes with 2 abstentions or 2
Two nays.
negative votes.
Okay, where are we?
I think we're on.
But the
Okay.
committee still exists, right? Like you
Yeah.
guys are still.
Okay, that moves us to the next,
The repeal of telephone.
the next motion is the word I was looking for. And the repeal of telephone and electronic polls. Does somebody want to move that? Counselor Ingham?
I would move that council approve the repeal of telephone and electronic polls policy number 110-008.
And a seconder, please.
I will second that.
Thank you, Counselor Butler. Is there any comment? Questions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. All right, moving to council conference and professional development policy. Someone like to put that motion on the floor, Counselor McKay?
Sure. I would move that council approve amendments as per the attached policy, council conference and professional development policy number 110-004.
Thank you. Who would like to second that? Counselor comment?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Ingham. Any comments, questions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. And routine access policy amendments. I'd like to put that on the floor. Counselor McKay?
I would move that council approve amendments as per the attached policy, routine access policy number 120-010.
Seconder, please.
I'll second
Counselor
that.
Butler? All those in favor, please, or sorry, are there any comments or questions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe that was passed unanimously. And Counselor McKay, as the alternate on this IMSA, if you could do the next 2, that would be helpful.
Certainly. I would move that council approve the King's Transit Authority's 2024-25 operating and capital budgets.
Any seconder, please? Counselor Commodore, any comments on that, questions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. And Valley Waste Resource Management, Counselor McKay.
Thank you. I would move that council approve the Valley Waste Resource Management Authority's 2024-25 operating and capital budget.
Seconder, please.
Second
Counselor
that.
Commodore, comments, questions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. The housing report is moved to a later section, so that will take us to motions from Special Budget Committee of the Whole, February 21st, and we have 2. Yes, first one deals with the Wolfville Curling Club. Would someone like to put that on the floor?
You can do that.
Deputy Mayor?
I would like to move a request for decision 013-2024, a one-time capital funding request by the Wolfville Curling Club.
That's the old one. There is a new one that
Yes, I was.
that the clerk brought around.
I still don't think those ones read right.
Now let's find the,
There's no referral to the budget on those
yes,
ones.
so this one,
one that
the
I
new
have.
one. As far, yes, so there's the new one that we were just given tonight.
Okay,
Start again.
I would like to start over.
Alrighty.
And request that council approve a $25,000 one-time capital grant contribution to the Wolfville Curling Club to support accessibility upgrades to their facility as part of the 2024-25 budget process.
So just for clarity, this moves it to the budget process from
You
council.
don't give it to them yet.
No, it goes to the budget process.
I'll
Seconder,
second-
please.
I'll
Thank you,
second that.
Councillor McKay. Is there any discussion? And just for clarity's sake, again, it moves it to the budget process. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
It reads weird to me,
It
but
does.
Yeah.
aye.
Yes, clear. Both of them are moved to the budget process.
Okay.
So passed unanimously to the budget process. Do you want to continue?
Okay.
It says it weird.
I would move RFD 014-2024, a one-time capital funding request from the Wolfville Historical Society for a $50,000 one-time contribution to support repairs to Randall House as part of the 2024-25 budget process.
I will second that.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Any comments, questions? All those in favor of moving this to the capital budget process, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That is passed unanimously to the capital budget process. All right, we have 3 items of new business. Let's do the housing one first because that was up above. So I'm just looking for the new motion. Oh, that was probably back. Right. So wonder if staff want to say anything, or I'll just explain the CAO, explain why we are here.
Thank you, Worship, and you're referring to on the homelessness report?
Yes, and the motion, why is the
Yes,
motion
indeed.
here?
No, thank you for the opportunity to provide the clarification. As council would be aware, the last direction to staff was to put the porta potty in place for 30 days. Subsequent, as additional information was provided to council and COW. And there was an acknowledgement that it's going to take some time in terms of determining the optimum path forward. There was a sentiment at COW that the porta potty should be left in place until such time that there is a more fulsome understanding in terms of how concerns would be addressed. And given that the last direction was provided to staff at a council meeting, it was appropriate for it to come back to give new direction to staff so that we're consistent with the direction that's been provided and ensure we're meeting council's wishes in that regard.
A motion just gives a touch more security. Do somebody like to put this motion on the floor and then we will open it for discussion? You would like to ask a question or comment first, Councillor McKay?
Yes,
Go ahead.
because the motion as it reads to me right now, which is sort of what triggered in my head, because it basically says that the porta potty will stay forever until we find a permanent place. Well, forever is a long time, because it says until, it could take us, if the lease doesn't open up on Waterfront Park, it could take us 4 years to build washrooms. So that would mean that porta potty would stay there for 4 years, which may or may not be useful at that point in time. So that's why I was stuck on the wording of it. I'm all for extending it until we can get some more information to come back, but I thought we were waiting for information, not leave it there indefinitely until, in my head, that's, when I went back and watched, and that's.
No,
Yeah.
indeed, and a means in which to address council's concern in this regard, so it's not being left in perpetuity. It could be left in place until council advises staff, as to an alternative decision at a later date. But at the end of the day, council will make that determination. But certainly, staff understands that it's not meant to be into perpetuity and for a protracted period, and council will continue to evaluate this situation as it evolves.
I wonder if we want, because I remember some discussion about the month of April, and I wonder if it would be possible to add to this that staff come back to report about other permanent or other options available by April. Would that be any help, Councillor McKay?
I have one that says leave it for there for another 90 days, which would be 120, which is about April as well. And ask staff to bring back options to explore more permanent ones. So it does the same thing. It gives us and there's so much turnover and stuff happening right now. We're in the middle of budgets. This at least gives us a definite end date and direction to come back to make sure we don't lose sight of our obligations.
So if we said, the council approve a porta potty remain at Roby Tufts Park for 90 days and staff come back within that time period with information related to permanent options.
That's what I was thinking, but
How does
I guess we
that
could-
sit?
Well, I'm okay with that, but I have another question.
Okay, well, let's be, is
you
that
want me to-
generally what our thinking was?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
would you like me to move it and then, or do you have a question about?
Do you have a
The
question?
issues generally,
Okay.
yeah.
Does that motion work?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Can it specify like 90 days from March 1st, 90 days from February
Sure.
1st, 90 days from January 1st? 90 days from today is not April, it's May. So,
Oh,
so is it just a little bit more of a structure for that? 90 days, 90 additional days from the previous 30
so
or
at the end of April,
April 30th?
April 30th,
Yeah.
instead of 90 days?
What, the end of April, so just,
Yeah. I think there's 30 days in April. April 30th is good.
There's an extra day this month.
Just gives me a little more structure.
Mhm.
do you want me to move it?
Yes,
Madonna?
please, if you
Okay.
would.
I would move that council extend the porta potty installation at Roby Tufts for the extended period to April 30th and ask staff to bring back options to explore a more permanent washroom facility.
You say within that time period?
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ingham? No, we did not. We did not. Questions, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I pondered the report, and I wonder if this acting CAO can tell me whether staff have the agency to follow up on other things that need to be followed up on. In regards to that report, there's
I wonder if
multiple
we should
things.
get the porta potty. Because,
Whatever.
yeah, I'm just wondering because that could take us, that probably will take us down other areas.
Sure.
What's your pleasure? Should we vote on that
Question.
question? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I just wanted to get some feedback from the boss on how staff are negotiating other things that come up at a regular basis at the public meetings.
Thank you, and I know that Barb has been intimately involved with lots of the discussions, and I believe that she has a more fulsome understanding of this certainly than I do, so I invite her to share that information.
Through the mayor to the deputy mayor, thank you for that question. So I can confirm right now that staff are continuing with wellness checks, taking general inquiries, sharing information where we can. But we are not, we're not actively attending community-based meetings. Council has not directed us to act as navigators or to kind of strengthen that role. We have, between Lindsay and Caden and myself, we have talked about capacity, which I know council is very mindful of. We do feel that if there is a need and if council would like us to do more of that work, even on the short term, there is a willingness. We think we can make that work, but we would just need that direction from council.
Okay, so having been to several of the community meetings, there are lots of issues around this topic that come up, and some of them are being dealt with by community members. Some people are coming in from outside of town. It's hard to navigate it all. And I just wanted to feel that staff could jump in when they were able to. Do you want a motion?
Acting CEO.
I'm very big on getting direction from council as a whole, and I think that in terms of, well, I certainly appreciate the suggestion of doing it in an ad hoc fashion. I'd be concerned about how that would, in terms of a consistency perspective and not knowing it's being proposed when possible, but the context of it, I think that you know, I'd be more comfortable getting a direction from council as a whole on this. And furthermore, in terms of not knowing in terms of getting involved in terms of how broad and how detailed that would be. So I think there's some staff would want to have a more clear understanding in terms of what that would entail, and then make the assessment as to whether it's within our capacity. Again, it's not disputing the merits of what's being proposed. It's about understanding and managing the expectations of staff doing what would be expected of council.
Any other comments from council? Councilor McKay?
I guess I have a question. So we're looking at washrooms. We said garbage cleanup was going okay. The two other things that we're doing wellness checks. There's a space for a physician to check on them should they wish to do that. So what are the things, I'm just going through the list myself here, that would be, that we could make a difference on quickly would be, and maybe it's not quickly, but a pantry and lockers, I think were the two that seemed to hit high on the list, if I recall the discussions. Would a pantry be something we could do? And I believe Director Lake mentioned lockers as part of the AT plan. And if he could give us an update of where those might sit and if those were something that could happen sooner rather than later. Would those be two things that would be something we could move on that as a town we could do? Because we're doing part of that, we're doing lockers perhaps anyway, so I don't know the answer to that. Or do you want to bring back information to us again on how that might be feasible? If that would be okay with the deputy mayor.
I just think it's, you know, the porta potty is not enough to discuss. There's other things.
Sure. And I see our director nodding and, you know, further information to come back.
Yeah, I just don't think we have enough to really comment on it. We have been looking at bike lockers, but I'm not sure those are going to meet the needs, so we're looking at different things. Lindsay's been looking at it. I would say that just capacity wise, we are moving, now that we can talk about the Housing Accelerator Fund, there is a lot that we need to get off the ground over the next few months with that. And I think certainly I can speak for Lindsay's time a bit more than others, but I do really need her to almost exclusively be working on that if we're gonna be pulling off some of those deadlines that we've committed to.
I do think that there are some groups or a group in the community who's working on those. And so it would be good to connect our staff with those groups, because if those groups can be working on that, I'm very obviously concerned about our staff capacity, but and we don't want to be tripping over what others are doing. So this community group does meet every second Wednesday, and maybe we could arrange for a staff just to hear what they are doing so that we can then bring that back to council. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we good on that item?
Is it okay if staff do that?
Indeed.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
No, or Barb, would you like one on that?
I, through the mayor to the interim CAO, I would appreciate as much clarity as possible, just so council has an opportunity to ensure that we're going in the right direction and meeting not only their needs, but the needs of the community.
What I was suggesting is that somebody come to that Wednesday night meeting, or alternatively, because I know staff have other commitments that night, we could, those of us who are there, and all of council is welcome, could commit to bringing back information of who's doing what. That works. So
Well, I'm taking notes anyway.
you're taking notes. So Deputy Mayor and I will commit to making sure that after the next, that we will summarize what's happening. We will confirm who's doing what and bring that back as information to council. We can certainly do that at any time, even circulate it by email, so you know, and go from there. Okay.
So just for clarity, would you need a vote after you bring that back to staff? Would you need a motion after that? I'm just looking at staff. No. Like,
I think
for
with
you to have
any-
direction, would there need to be a motion at some point?
My understanding would be, the objective would be to broaden staff's understanding in terms of what's going on with the community. And then perhaps as staff is making an assessment in terms of how to move forward to address things that might help to inform the strategy, which may not be led by staff or whatever, but could be maybe enabled by staff by continued outreach and so forth. But by being privy to those conversations, what's being contemplated could certainly help to inform that strategy that staff might consider.
So we will commit to doing that and getting something back to everybody. I'm going to say within the month of March. That group only meets every 2 weeks, and so it will be after committee of the whole. So, okay. All right, and from porta potties to leaf yard waste. Good segue. Director D'Souza, do you have some? Do you want to speak to us about that before we put a motion on the floor?
Yeah, if we're gonna look at the leaf and yard waste report first, there have been no changes since I presented at our budget meeting last week. I'm perfectly happy to read the summary, and we can go into the motions if you'd like.
Well, I don't know. I think we have read the summary. I didn't know. So basically you are giving us two options that we can discontinue what we are doing now. And direct people to drop their own yard waste at Valley Waste or mulch it in or
Or use
whatever.
the curbside
Use
collection.
curbside collection. And of course, there'd be some advertising on that, or that we direct staff to begin the process of negotiating an additional service with Valley Resource Management. I would note that they have, I believe, Councillor McKay, because you were at that meeting, they have just now gone out to their tender with respect to, so I think that tender is out.
It is out.
So I'm not sure that it's an easy negotiation. I guess you can negotiate anything, but Valley Waste just sent out a tender, and that includes kind of business as usual. And also there's a discussion of whether we would continue with the big pickup that we do in spring and in fall, or if every week, every 2 weeks, you can put out a big item, and that we're getting prices on that. No decision has been made on that. So because the RFP has gone out, the Valley Waste Board doesn't meet till the 21st. I think it would not be easy this year to get that.
No, likely not. And there's really that alternative motion. There's no implicating that it would be easy or quick. It would certainly be a process to understand what the barriers to increasing the level of service would be, and the costs, and that would certainly have to come back into this room for further discussion as well.
Why don't before we put any motion on the floor, why don't I just open to any questions that council might have of the director or comments? And then I'll take your pleasure at which of these motions you would like, Deputy Mayor.
Just to start things off, my conscience says the second option is the route that I would see us going. But I keep thinking of Councillor McKay's question about the next hurricane and the next pile of trees that are knocked over, and those are really difficult for ordinary householders to deal with. And I know sometimes they get picked up if they're dragged to the sidewalk, but I don't know if staff does that or Valley Waste, or so I wondered about
Private
that.
companies.
Mhm,
you hire someone to
mhm.
look after that. Counselor McKay?
Um, uh, I still have that concern and I would like to know how we would solve that for people, because not everyone is gonna have the means to hire someone to come and get those things. And secondly, I think that I too think the second option is okay. However, if it's not going to happen this year, I still think we need something this year. It's not reasonable for people to find alternative solutions this quickly. I don't know that if if everyone was used to either taking it to Maple Avenue or the facility that was down on Dykeland, and now we say you're just gonna have to do nothing, we're offering nothing, and we're gonna say, oh, in maybe 25, 26, we'll have an answer for you. I'm not sure that's an acceptable level of service that I would like to give to people. So
No, they do
I'll
have an
struggle with that.
option that but they would have to get it there. So Kentville and Berwick and
Correct.
Kings have to take it to.
Yeah.
Do take it to
yeah,
Valley
take it
Waste.
down there. Yeah.
Comments? Counselor Palmer?
I would agree with both Councillor Elliott and Councillor McKay. I think we're too quick on dropping this. This is for a lot of our clients here, constituents, it would be a cost that they're gonna have to swallow somewhere, and driving out to Colebrook is expensive, and I've seen what goes up and down Maple Avenue on a Saturday afternoon, and there's a lot of material to deal with. And I don't think we want everybody driving out the 101, and that's just, I don't like it myself.
Counselor Ingham?
I guess I'm a little bit confused because I remember staff saying that the current site down at Public Works is just not safe, and there's a traffic issue, and there's staffing issues. So they wanted to say that site is not a good location. So do we need to have both, like, to merge these at some point? Because the second motion doesn't say anything about the first motion. And so I'm hearing what you said, Ian, about the service, but I'm hearing from staff that location is not safe. So I'm a little bit confused on where to take this right now.
If I could just comment on that, it's actually, it's not only the safety and the traffic concerns and things like that. It's the fact that it's also still not compliant with the regulations. That was the more, I guess, the overarching reason to not continue with that practice.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Counselor.
So collecting yard waste, there's regulations about what we're doing with it. Like, you can't just bring it and take it out to Colebrook. There's a regulation for that.
We would essentially be creating a transfer station. That's was our interim solution last year, would be a transfer station, which is still governed under the Environment Act and the waste management regulations. So there are applications and approvals that have to happen from Nova Scotia Environment if we are to continue that on a permanent or semi-permanent basis.
So we did it kind of under.
It was
a
thrown together essentially
fix.
last year
short term.
as a quick interim solution, yeah.
Counselor McKay?
So did we break regulations last year? Is that what we're saying? Oh, well, that's.
And probably have been for the last 50 years.
That is true.
That's not really an option from what I'm hearing, to have that. So that needs to be addressed, right? As a motion, and then I'm looking at the other one, and I do think we should direct staff to look at something from Valley Waste, but that might not be this year. So
It
Do
might not be
motions
the
have-
next 5 years.
yeah,
because
the
it's
next
a-
5 years. So I guess that's kind of new to me, the 5-year thing. But both of these motions don't really make sense. So should we put them on the table, or what? I mean, where do we go from here? Chair?
I would think that, I mean, I suppose a third one, and and the cost we have no idea of the cost, and it's a fairly small number of people that you said that this was serving, but we could certainly, as we have done with the big pickup, when we've kind of missed the boat for reasons that were not our fault, could have somebody drive around, take stuff and go to Valley Waste. Not a good solution. I guess I would also say everybody else in the county is actually doing that, going to Valley Waste. So why is it that our life is different than Berwick or Kentville residents?
If I may, in addition to being able to go to Valley Waste, they're also they offer the curbside collection of bundled brush and filling your green bin with your yard and garden waste as well. For a lot of people, that alone is sufficient.
So we want to put the second motion on? I guess my concern with the second motion is you didn't say, there's nowhere in that motion to say that for messaging purposes that you're closing down, that we put a motion on to close down the current site that we used last year.
We could add that to the second motion if that's.
It's just not clear to me. That's if we do put that motion on, I don't know.
If we put that motion on and we added the messaging part, although I do see that,
But not
public-
to get rid of it.
no, I assume that would be, I suppose what we're saying is, can you speak to Valley Waste and can they offer any alternatives? I can say that this has come up at our IMSA meetings and they feel that they have provided the region an alternative, but that's not to say we couldn't direct staff to take another kick at it. And they may have another alternative. I don't know, like, there were times that could put out 8 or 10 bags or 20 bags, and they stopped doing that. So perhaps that's the issue. I think we're talking in that case about leaves, not talking about a tree falling down.
Right, and my understanding is they will only pick up what they're obligated to pick up. And there are exceptions to that, of course, depending on who's driving the route or whatever the circumstances may be. Sometimes the drivers will pick up more than the number of bags. But in our conversations that we've had with Valley Waste, in instances where someone may have missed the spring cleanup or the fall cleanup, we do make contact with Valley Waste on behalf of those residents to see if they can get those materials picked up, and the answer has always been no.
So, Councillor Butler.
Just a point of clarity. So either of these motions means that what we're providing right now disappears completely. Either one of these, which means folks will have to figure out a way to dispose of that stuff anyway. And then, so the second motion just means that down the road, if we come up with a contract negotiation, we could re-offer that service. But in the interim, they'll find some other way to get rid of this, which means by then it might not be necessary anyway. Okay.
Can I ask, Barb, in the last year, in terms of your messaging out, have we done anything? And I think we have about, compost or not compost your leaves, mow in your leaves or just leave them. Have we done anything like that? There's certainly lots of information about that.
Whenever possible, I have amplified the messaging coming out of Valley Waste. We take additional steps prior to the move out weekend when we've historically had some additional issues with collection. So those big cleanup dates, we try and make sure that folks are aware of those. But again, we are sharing the messaging that has been provided by Valley Waste. We're not creating our own messaging or our own kind of graphics. We're just using what they have prepared.
Yes, good.
Because
and that's probably where
yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Councillor Palmer?
So can we go back to using the Maple Avenue facility?
Oh, it's
Maple Avenue's gone.
Go on.
Why would that be?
There's a road through it now.
No, it's not.
I don't follow you.
On the north side, it's not a road.
The north side of
The north,
Maple.
it's a triangle. It's not a road through it,
The develop, and it's.
but we
also-
still own the property.
It's also, it's a park. It's also
Well, it's
illegal.
not a park. It's not a park. We still own it. It's not a road.
Yeah. If we were to create a new facility up on that parcel of land, we would still have to go through the regulatory approval process.
Well, what about going back to using the existing facility?
The existing facility doesn't exist anymore. That's what I'm trying to say.
But we still own the land.
We still own the
own
land, but
Same land.
the facility that was in
Was it legal
operation,
before?
it was not legal before and has ceased to operate. It
Okay,
ceased
so
to
it wasn't
operate in
legal before.
2023, yeah.
So do we know that when we shut it down last May?
Did we know that it was not compliant with?
Yes.
Yes,
Did that come up in our discussions?
Yes.
It did?
yes.
Counselor McKay.
So I'm leaning towards number 2B, whatever we want to call that, that Valley Waste pickup would be best option, since number 1 seems to be one that we're gonna need regulatory, it's not safe, you know, all those things. My only question is that if there was a storm, are we able to either ourselves or through a one-time special pickup, be able to contract? Yeah, I guess we can contract anybody, Valley Waste, EFR, to do a special pickup if there was a storm.
If there was a storm, I mean, we could create a program where our staff drives around town and collects bundled brush that's been left out at the curb. There'd be a lot that we'd have to look into for that and may require some additional resources. There are safety considerations with that sort of process, because that's not what our staff is typically trained to do. But that could certainly be an option that we could look into and try and create.
That would be something I would like to see if we were moving towards this, that if there was some sort of catastrophe or storm, that we would at least be able to assist people who don't have trailers and everything. I mean, I don't, I wouldn't know where to start with that, but just food for thought, I guess.
I might offer your worship, and that suggestion is always something that's available to council that would be situational in nature. You'd make a determination at the time as to the severity and scope of the impact of the storm in question, and you'd make that determination. So it doesn't, by entertaining the 2 motions before you today, would not preclude you from council making a decision at a later date, situationally dependent.
Mr. Butler?
Just to sort of comment on Councillor McKay's question and comment. Generally, when there is a storm of any kind of significance, it actually bumps up to the province offering financial assistance like with Hurricane Fiona and things that I think the constituent is still responsible for the removal, but they can get someone to come in and there is money given from the province to, and those are special circumstances. The one question I have is dollars. So what do these motions save us in terms of dollars? Like if we go with the first motion, how much are we actually saving by not having a facility, not offering that service? What is there a dollar placed on us not having this service that folks have gotten used to?
The only dollar figures I had prepared were for the interim option that we had last year. And that was a little over $8,000 in tipping fees. That did not include the staff time that also went into organizing and maintaining that operation.
Mhm.
If that's a figure you'd like me to bring back, I certainly can, but I decided not to include that in the report because those resources are gonna be otherwise utilized on other tasks in town, so there will no, there won't be any actual
Okay.
dollar savings.
No, thank you very much.
Counselor Ingham?
Yes, thanks. I agree that, situational in nature makes sense to me, but I just wanted to ask maybe Alex, when we had the spring cleanup and we had the dates that were a little bit askew, staff went around to do, because we had substantial stuff left by the curb that was quite messy. It was staff that went by, or did we have, and how much was that cost?
Staff, but I think we
We
also
had-
Valley
had the-
Waste.
Yeah, so how much, like, that's a different situation too. That was kind of a one-off. So if I was looking to compare them, how much was that? Do you remember?
I don't have that information in front of me. I know we did tally up the costs, but I would have to dig into some of the records to get that to you. And yes, as was mentioned, that was a very special circumstances, situational occurrence that happened.
So
And I think there was there not some, you wouldn't know, you weren't here, some chargeback to the landlords because they missed the date.
we still had to
We
do
did it,
that
yeah.
at town, and that was a situation. So it kind of is this, not the same, but like
Yeah.
as far as the cleanup, maybe a similar cost, or maybe a one-off, maybe we won't have to deal with that again. So.
Yeah, and just further to that, there were a number of concerns about the safety of our staff and hygiene and what we were bringing into our yard. There was a lot of animal activity after we piled all of those materials in our yard, and there were a number of concerns that came out of that we didn't look into any further because it was a one-time thing.
Counselor McKay?
We also did say though, we were gonna look at another garbage pickup for spring cleaning this year because last year did not go well, and we promised people in the spring right after it happened that we would consider doing something again this year because it was not good. We did. That is a big question. So maybe that's separate, but so I'm okay with the second one if we're gonna move those forwards. And if there is something situational that we needed, as we did last year for the spring cleanup, then I think we cross that bridge when we come to it as.
Yeah.
Rob
With
said.
respect to the first one, the issue was Valley Waste was trying to get things cleaned up in the 2-week period and have it done before convocation, and that happened before many students moved out at the end of April, and so they picked up before the end of April. Students didn't leave, stuff was left out. We had to get it up because of convocation. Convocation is later. Earlier.
Earlier, I think.
It's not like the 14th. Yes, but the end of April, so it's well before the end of April, so it might allow Valley Waste to get in there before. Anyways, we can check that.
I would like to suggest that our acting CAO follow up on that and give us a report back of when they're gonna come and do that.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to ring that bell a little louder than we rang it last year. And I'm gonna ring it today, right now.
Just to comment on that, actually, I did ask Karen to reach out to Valley Waste to see if those dates could be changed, and the answer that was given back to us was no. They didn't seem at the time, they didn't seem willing to change the dates of the pickup because of the convocation. I'm not sure if there's some historical precedent behind those dates, or I'm not sure how they plan their routes. It's not in my scope, but I did ask, and the answer we were given was no, but perhaps.
Well, I would check again because traditionally convocation has been as early as May 7th. It's a week later. And it was to try and be within the week that our garbage is picked up. So surely between the end of April and 14th, could be, Wolfville will have a garbage pickup. So I would check again now that we know when convocation is.
May I? So
Certainly. Councillor
our
Butler.
discussion at the time moved from it not being around convocation, but move out week.
Yes.
Yes.
So that it always, the pickup always fell the week before students moved
Yes.
out. And then they still needed all their stuff. They would move, leave it at the curb, and by then the curbside pickup has already happened. So Valley Waste came back with the convocation conversation and we moved it to, no, this has to do with when students are actually moving out, which could be up to 2 or 3 weeks after convocation. So it was, I don't know if that might have been missed in the communication to Valley Waste, like it veered off of convocation and into, no, it's, people still need their stuff, so they don't just put it out because they don't want to make it look messy for grad. It's because they still need a bookcase until the first week of May. Yeah.
So maybe we can follow up again with Valley Waste. I don't know where we are. It sounds like the first motion is not of interest. I don't know if anyone wants to put the second one
Oh,
on.
I was going to support the first one, so, but
Well, we
it
can
might just
put
be
them-
me.
We can put them both on and see
Okay.
where it falls.
Only because I see them as exactly the same thing, minus like what people are gonna start getting used to not putting their
Yes.
stuff or having a place to go.
Well, the
So-
first one says we just stop. And communicate. The second one also says we just stop, but says we're going to negotiate with Valley Waste. They're in contract, they've got an RFP out, but so discussion might be better than contract negotiations. I don't know.
Yeah, and my recollection when they said that the RFP went out is that they did an RFP and separated every single thing out. So one was garbage, one was organics, one was pickup, one had spring and fall pickup, and one had a pickup of a big item every 2 weeks. So it sounded like they were seeing what everything cost and whatever they got back, they would evaluate. So maybe this is good timing to have a conversation about what this is. Maybe the ship has sailed, but maybe it hasn't. So that's why I was thinking about number 2, because both stopped the collection down there. But if there was a desire by us or our residents to have a higher level of service once a year or something, then we could potentially look at it. I don't know, but that was my thinking on that. So.
Mr. Butler?
I also think a lot of residents don't 100% understand what they can get picked up now. So if that's, I sort of saw it as if it's taken away and we ramp up the communication of what exactly can be put out, it's a fair bit. If you really think about it, I look at our apartment, we have 6 compost bins for my full apartment and only like 3 are full for our pickup whenever it is. And that includes when it's high gardening season. There is a community garden at the building. So I just think that if that communication is ramped up, then people will just adapt to I don't think they understand exactly how much waste they can put out. It's a lot.
So you would like to move the first one? Is that what
I
you're
will,
saying?
I can read the first one. Yeah.
Okay with that? Sure, go ahead.
I move that council direct staff to discontinue the practice of allowing leaf and yard waste to be dropped off at town of Wolfville facilities on an indefinite basis and provide ample public notification and awareness messaging.
Does that have a seconder? You don't need to, if you don't want to vote for it. So that did not get a seconder, so that did not get taken up. Does anybody want to put the second one on?
I can do that.
Deputy Mayor?
I would move that council direct staff to begin the process of contract negotiation with Valley Waste Resource Management to provide a higher level of service for curbside collection of leaf and yard waste and provide ample public notification and awareness messaging.
Does that one have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor McKay. Any other comments?
And
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
sorry. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be every week here or every other week. I guess it's every one side of town, but it certainly could be, 3 or 4 times a year. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be extensive, because people could put up with their trees and their fallen trees in their front yard for week or 4. We've all done that. So I don't think we necessarily, it means that we want them to do it every time the garbage truck rolls by. That's my take on it.
And,
Councillor Butler?
and that, to communicate that messaging for 3 times a year, someone's going to miss it. And we are then going to be in the situation that we have to make a special trip to go pick it up or come up with some other situation for them.
I don't think you would, because I think those people are, we're talking trees and big bushes, we're not talking about grass, right? We're talking about somebody who's knowingly cut down a tree in their backyard. And that's what I think we're talking about, because that's what goes up Maple Avenue, or did go up Maple Avenue, was the guy who was doing a major cut down of a tree or pruning of a big bush. And that those guys would know, hopefully, would know what the timing is for it, and it may have to sit at their end of their driveway it might have to sit there for 2 weeks. I don't really have a problem with that, knowing that that's where it's gonna go.
Councillor McKay?
Yeah, I think this one for me is that, because I can recall over the last number of years, even though I didn't cut anything down, my neighbor's tree has fallen in my yard more than once. Pieces, yeah, it's a willow tree, branches, big branches fall off all the time. So every spring though, I bring that, I have to find somewhere to take it, but if someone came, so once a year, because they have a willow tree, my backyard is a disaster. So I fill up my green bin with those things. But I only do that twice. So if there was a couple of times a year, those things went by and there was one extra pickup, that would also be helpful to me. And I'm guessing I'm probably not alone, but so for me, I think an extra one, the odd time, would be helpful.
Ready for the question? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. That passes.
Everybody else is a homeowner.
I'm a homeowner and I disagree with it. It's not the only one.
Oh, you voted against
I
it
voted
too?
against it as well.
Oh, you did too?
I
I'm
did.
sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
All right, Welcome Center.
Yes, so the Welcome Center, and I have to apologize for the late addition to the agenda, but these are 2 very time-sensitive decisions that need to be made. With this one, I didn't do any sort of presentation, so I'm happy to read the summary, or I can skip that if you guys have all read the summary and are comfortable with what I'm bringing here today.
Seeing shaking heads that we're all comfortable. Okay. Does anybody have any questions, or do we want to get each motion in turn on the floor? It's your pleasure.
I have a question.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
On the standing seam, you're talking about a Vic West product or something. You're not talking about a certain contractor here who does it himself.
We're not talking about a specific contractor, no. Standing seam would be the style of roofing materials that we're looking at putting on.
But manufactured standing seam as opposed to
Yes.
made on site standing seam. which are
Yes.
2 different things. You understand that?
Yes, it's a manufactured product with warranty and everything else consistent with the product that we have on our other buildings in town.
Okay. First one has to do with the shower. Why don't we get that motion on the floor? Councillor McKay?
Sure. I would move that council approve an increase to the Welcome Center project of $9,200 for the construction of a barrier-free public shower in the new building.
Seconder?
I'll second them.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And are there any comments or questions? Councillor Palmer?
Oh, no, sorry.
No?
I just had a
Councillor
question.
Ingham?
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that the splash pad, it takes a lot of water up, would that shower be just like a press one that, kind of times and to go off instead of being concerned that somebody's gonna leave it on? Cause I know the splash pad has timers.
It's certainly something we could consider for hardware. I don't think that's the pricing the contractor carried. However, I don't think it would make much of a difference in cost overall. The shower, as you saw in the report, the shower would be inside one of the washrooms, not outside, so.
Actually, the deputy mayor had her light on first.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I'd just like to express the wish that that during Mud Creek Days, when we have a lot of mud flying around town, that I really hope the fire department will continue to offer shower facilities in the middle of the street rather than clogging a new shower up with mud.
I'm sure that's a big part of Mud Creek Days. Counselor Butler.
I had a question. As I was reading the report, I was sort of going through things and then I saw the design with where it is. And it's more logistics. So it means it would only be open when the VIC is open. Like the washrooms itself, I thought were going to be open not 24 hours or maybe they were, but that means that particular washroom with the shower is accessible for the same amount of time, correct? Or would one be closed at night? How would it be monitored?
So the way we laid out the building and the access to the washrooms,
Mhm.
we have the option of defining when and for how long the washrooms are open, and that can be completely independent from the hours of the Welcome Center, unlike the former Visitor Information Center where the washrooms were only accessible when the building was open.
Okay,
So that would be up to the town basically to decide how many hours the washrooms are open, whether that's 24/7 or dusk to dawn sort of thing. Dawn to dusk, rather.
because when we were discussing it, I was picturing, I don't want to say an exterior shower, but something apart from where I'm going with this. If somebody's in that shower and slips and falls, it's in their own private space now. It's the door is locked. How does anybody know? And it's actually part of the Visitor Information Center. I pictured sort of showers
Very free.
off to the side that folks would be able to just get into like a cubicle and it's just literally a tap. I don't know. I saw it as a major safety issue being a part of that facility, especially if it's after hours. Like somebody could go in and you're done. You're done if it's a safety issue.
So one of the things an accessible washroom includes is a panic call signal
Okay.
that's in the building code now. Typically, those just flash a light outside of the washroom to let someone know that someone is in trouble. A system like that could probably very easily be monitored by an external party.
Okay. All right, that makes me feel better. Okay.
Logistically speaking, I guess the logistics of putting in an exterior shower, it would only be functional for certain months of the year. So that would, it would be a detriment, I think. But certainly the monitoring and the panic system could be looked into.
Okay. And when the shower is in use, it means there's only one wheelchair accessible washroom available. As opposed to like someone could just be in there to use the shower.
Both washrooms are barrier free and both change rooms are also barrier free.
Okay.
Other questions? Ready for the vote? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That is unanimous. And the second motion, you like to put that on? Anybody? To do with the roof?
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you, Councillor McKay.
I would move that council approve an increase to the Welcome Center project budget of $33,000 for the upgrade of the roofing materials from standard asphalt shingles to standing seam metal roof for the new building.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
I will second that.
Councillor Butler, are there any comments or questions? Counselor McKay?
I only have one. Can you tell me what the total cost of the Welcome Center is with this upgrade, with these upgrades?
Give me a second. I can do that for you. Yeah. So give or take a few $100, and just doing this from memory because I don't have the notes in front of me for the whole budget. Approving the metal roof upgrade in addition to the shower and the previous budget upgrades that were required for the engineering work would take us to just a little over 720,000.
And does that include the grant?
No.
The grant money, we're still getting, obviously still getting grant money, but that's just the total project cost. It's not total cost to the town
What is the
necessarily.
grant money? 400.
It's 3 years.
300, yeah, part of it's for the parking lot.
Can you tell me, and that's not here, but so is that out of reserves? How is that being funded? The 33 and the 9, because those were not in our, all from capital reserves?
Thank you. Counselor Palmer and then Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, roughly how many square feet is this place?
It's the total finished square footage inside the building is a little over 600.
600.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, what kind of asphalt shingles was in the original quote? Like how many, 25 year, 30 year, 20 year?
Yeah, it would just be the basic 20-year asphalt shingle.
So you're telling me for a 6,000 square foot building, it
600. It was, so the finished space is 600, but the total footprint that the roof would cover is about double that, including the veranda and the overhangs. So it's about a little over 1,200 in total.
doesn't that price sound a little exorbitant? So you're taking off the shingles, so that has a value, right?
Mhm.
And then you're adding 33,000 to it? At the beginning of the stage, I'd just question that number. Would you question that number?
To be honest, I'm a little bit out of touch with the cost of metal roofing material after COVID. I can look into it further or ask our general contractor to get multiple quotes
I think you should.
if that would suit you.
Because that sounds, because we're taking off the shingles, so that has a value, right?
Mhm.
So you're saying it's 40 grand to put the steel roof on, or something to that tune, right?
Mhm.
Deputy Mayor?
I just wondered, I know the Historical Society funds and the Curling Club funds was a request that went to the budget process. And I'm wondering why these two items weren't considered to be part of the budget process if allowed, or if possible. It's just happens.
And I can comment on that. Normally, it would have been if we had the timing on our side, like if we had these options last year, I would say it could have been part of the budget process. The challenge we're facing now is trying to stay within our substantial completion deadline of July 31st. A lot of these materials have to be ordered, arrangements have to be made with the contractors. The general that's working on this project has to get these work packages lined up very soon. My understanding is if we wait until March, we're not going to have the opportunity to do the metal roof upgrade.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Butler?
So this roof would be similar, if not identical, to the one on the farmer's market, Wolf Farmers Market?
I'm not sure what the farmer's market has on it, but it would be similar to the Public Works building, the gazebos, those types of structures around town.
Okay.
Library?
Live.
Definitely.
Okay. The The farmer's market, I think, yeah, I guess I walk by that a little bit more. So there is still the capability of attaching like solar panels if there was any kind of an upgrade, because the market has them on there.
Yes.
Any other questions? Question. All those in favor? Jody, you look like you're. Look like you have a question.
Well, I don't know. To
Okay.
be honest, I will be the first to say, I really don't know how much construction material costs either. I haven't priced a roof in a long time. And not this kind. So I think it didn't go through the budget one because I think it was us who said, get the tender out. Us
Yeah,
at the table said, get
absolutely.
this tender out, get it going so that we could have a VIC for this, at least some of the summer months, should we be lucky enough to have that happen. So I understand why it didn't, and we've already moved it forward. So if there's gonna be changes, they have to be done before the budget. So it's coming from the capital, but Councillor Palmer raised questions that I don't know answers to, so I don't know if we should be getting more than 3 quotes on it. I don't know well, I know what our purchasing policy says. If it's that amount of money, we probably have to,
Well,
but that's not our,
Could we table
Yeah,
this
I don't know.
till next Tuesday when we're talking budget? Is that amount of time critical to you?
I think we'd be fine to table it until next Tuesday. Could we have a decision at that meeting, or would that have to be a special council meeting?
We could add a
Well-
special council.
Because I think if we did that, I could ask the contractor to bring some additional quotes. And I could present some options and a little bit more information if that would be helpful.
if you, for me, if you could provide me with roughly the square footage of the roof.
Provide us. Provide us.
Us, that's right. We're all in this boat, we're all rowing in the same direction, but provide us with the square footage of the roof. Roughly. That would give us an idea where,
I just have one more question, if I may. So I know that you put in the report the longevity of the metal roof. But just a basic shingle roof what is the lifespan, or what is the warranty? What is the behind of it? I know it's not as much, but
In my experience, 12 to 15 years in our climate, even though they say 20 to 25-year warranties, those roofs don't last long in our climate because of sun exposure and wind are the 2 killers of asphalt roofing materials.
and the metal roof is closer to, what was it, the 50-year? 50-year?
Yeah,
40
that's
plus?
a,
Okay,
and that's a typical lifespan of a standing seam metal roof.
okay.
Okay. Suggestion is that somebody puts a motion to table. And maybe can we add if we do that, a motion to table to be brought back with some additional information at committee of the whole? In which case for us, and I think somebody on staff said, it's you, Laura, that a little bit longer meeting on Tuesday, so we could certainly have a special council to deal with one item.
I would move to table it. I think I made the motion, so I can.
Okay, and we need a seconder to table.
Seconded it.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
So you second, and I'm looking to the CAO and we vote on the motion to table. All those in favor of
question, discussion,
Yes.
further now or later?
It has to be on the table.
Tabling.
Not on the.
we've now got a motion to table, so you want to talk about the motion to table?
I want to talk about what we want a motion. Because the
So- sorry,
washroom,
Councillor,
the washroom,
Can't, right now we have a motion to table the one we were discussing.
which one were we discussing?
We are the
Oh,
roof,
sorry.
okay? So we have a motion to table and a seconder to table, unless there are any questions on the motion to table. Question, all those in favor of tabling this motion, asking staff to bring back information on Tuesday, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, that is unanimous. And could I have a motion to go in camera, please?
I'll move that we go in camera.
Thank you, Councillor Ingham, and seconder.
Just a second.
Thank you.